Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Soul Rising. My name is Amanda McCoy Flanagan.
Hello. This is Ginny Oliva Smith. Thank you guys so much for joining us back on Soul Rising season 2. Or no, yes, season 2.
Welcome
First
to season
episode.
2, first episode with our boy Patrick Thrasher. So happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the
yeah.
invitation. Thank you. I have my podcast, Let's Talk with Patrick podcast. I talk about everything.
So good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you too was on my show. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you for coming through and doing it for me. That was great.
Totally. Thanks for having us.
Fun time.
That was awesome. I think that was our first one, right, Ginny?
Yeah.
That was
It was.
Patrick was our first show that we were on.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy day. You guys remember? My half-sister had reached out to me. That's craziness. We'll get back into that someday. But yeah, craziness. That was such an amazing day. So we were glad to be there with you.
Very special day. So what we do here on Soul Rising, for anybody who's new, it's Soul Rising all in on love, loss, and connection. So we talk about how human emotion works to either connect us or disconnect us from ourselves and from each other.
That's right.
And we talk about it in our first season. We talk a lot about what inspired Ginny and I to start this show, to do this show, is all the division in the world, which I think we're all feeling like
it's all gone now,
now.
Right? Isn't it gone now, Amanda? Everything's fine.
Everything's better.
The world's perfect.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes. We've solved the world's problems in season 1.
We need another season. This is why we have to do another season. We were like, everything will be great. And then they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, now we want to bring our friends on and we want to bring people on that can help us do this even more,
together.
Right? Like our whole deal is connecting with each other. So like to have guests on and stuff, it's like just bringing that to the next level.
Yes, some unity.
So
That's what we need. We need more unity, more love.
Yeah, it is what we need.
More hugs, all that good stuff. That's right.
More understanding, right? More hugs, more love.
Yes.
Patrick, you are onto it.
Absolutely.
You're so 100%.
Right. So let's get into it with Pete Thrilla. That's his Instagram handle, by the way. I love that. Pete Thrilla.
Me too.
So everybody, it's time to let your soul rise. So let's do it. So today we want to talk with Patrick a little bit about music and how music inspires us, what type of emotion it evokes. Patrick makes his own music. He is a music maker.
Cool.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, and maybe how that also, if that ties at all into your own show and the guests that you have on your show?
So my uncle Bennett Johnson, he had a jazz band. Okay, so being around that, he came to my school about 29, 30 years ago. He came to my school and he performed with his band, and I thought it was so cool. My father, rest in peace to him, he was a DJ. And my oldest brother was a DJ as well. And we had a friend of ours named Wally. He was part of So Def, the label that had the Crisscross and people like that at that time.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
So at that time, his mother stayed behind our house at the time. They stayed in the same neighborhood. So we used to see Wally all the time. He'd come over and he did a remix to Bobby Brown as well. This song called Humping Around. He played the keyboards and everything.
Yes.
So being around that, you know what I mean? Like that. Influenced me big time. It did. And I used to make my own tapes once upon a time. I used to go to my cousin's Betty's favorite. She's dead as well. She was a bootlegger. She used to have like all these old people there. And I used to make all these blues tapes, like artists like Coco Taylor and Little Milton, all these old blues singers they love. So that helped me. And then I started playing instruments. I played clarinet in the band. And that was my journey. And I started to make beats and just sampling and all kind of things. So yeah, that's my beginning.
What did you use back then? So I don't even know how you make that. I mean, now I know people use computers, but like, how did you make music? Just recorded
drum
on
machines,
what?
Probably, right?
Yeah, drum machines and keyboards.
And keyboards.
Keyboard.
808s.
Yeah, stuff like that. Absolutely. If you had like a like vinyl, you could sample and sample like 5 seconds and chop it up, do your own thing with it as well. And so that was my beginning, because my brother had a beat machine at the time. This back in 96 during the Olympics when he came to visit. Well, his manager got killed in the Olympics. Like the bomb had went off and the nail went through her head. Yeah, her name was Alice. That's her name.
Oh,
what?
Yep.
Shoot.
Yep. That was his manager.
That's kind of like, no wonder. I mean, and we'll get into this later, but your life to me, like the people that I love it that you are around so many different people with so many different really, really intense life stories.
Yeah.
I mean, even your show reflects that, but man, you're telling us a story now. Like that's
so
incredible.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that on my show, but I said, I'm going to wait until somebody asks me, then I'll talk about that. So here you go.
Yeah. Oh, we love it.
For us.
Yeah.
Waiting for us.
Yeah. So, and then,
cool.
So at that time I was trying to rap as well. So I used to, write raps and record over like instrumentals and stuff on cassette tape. And then I started to
Hmm.
record with my cousins, and because we had like a little group at the time. And one of the guys, he was a drug dealer at the time, but he was a good artist,
Mhm.
So that, yeah, we
Happens a lot.
exactly,
Yeah.
Happens a
yes,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah. A lot of overlap there.
yeah,
I get
absolutely,
it. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
So he had real, but the thing in that, I fully get that because my guitar player was one of the biggest coke dealers in Los Angeles in the
oh
80s.
shit,
So
wow,
yeah, like one of
It just
those
goes in
things.
hand, right? I
it
mean,
does,
like the music is
Incredibly.
that world. It's just, yeah, it's
it,
And
there.
yeah, and some of it might just be that artistic thing, right? That a lot of us that are
Makes
artists
you a little
and
more
when we're
creative.
absolutely,
well, that right? Or that whole like we feel everything thing and we tend to try to block out some of it
yeah,
because I mean, is my guess. I
Or
look at all
enhance
the
it,
artists
block it out or enhance it.
right,
enhance it,
Yeah.
block it, right? But you hear about like all I mean, think of all the amazing musicians that have left us way too soon, like
yeah,
overdosing
Mm,
due to addiction or whatever, that were freaking brilliant, you know? But
yeah.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
way off
Yeah.
topic, but please
no,
tell us
you fine,
about your cousin.
oh,
So your
what,
cousin was a drug dealer, so you guys had good
what,
material to write.
well, it was, well, okay, it was my it was like two of my cousins, and we had like two friends, but the friend, he was the drug dealer, he's the one that was selling
Okay.
crack and stuff like that at the time. And
Oh,
he's to write his whole life, like his real life story in his music at the time.
The struggle can turn into really great lyrics.
It
You know,
can, it can.
I feel like a lot of us creative people and artists in different ways comes from
mhm.
pain.
It does.
Oh,
Comes
yeah.
that emotion that we don't know where to put it. We don't know where to
Absolutely.
put it.
Mhm.
So we
Absolutely.
put it into whatever artistic form that we're drawn to.
Yeah.
And in your case would be music,
Well,
right?
also too, like me
Writing
making
music.
music was a outlet for me at that time when I was, coming up, because there was so much
Mhm.
like turmoil going on around me at that time. Especially with my father.
Mm.
My father was a street dude. He used to, go to jail. He got stabbed before, and all these different things that was happening at the time. So I had to find a way to deal with those things, because in those days we didn't
Oh, yeah.
we didn't really do therapy like we do now. We didn't talk about it. It was more taboo
Oh
at
yeah,
the time.
no.
And
Yeah.
Oh, no.
yeah, you know what I
Mhm.
mean. So now I'm all
Yeah.
about that. I'm an advocate. Oh yeah, I'm an advocate.
Sure.
Mhm.
I push it.
Totally. Yeah.
I think it's very
You're
important.
you're
An
you're all
outlet.
about the healing,
Absolutely. Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
I think that's amazing too, though, Patrick, because of the fact, well, especially there's a lot of people that have probably grown up in a similar manner that you have that maybe don't know somebody else who's grown up in a similar manner that they have, that they know who's gone through that, hey, therapy is accessible to me. Therapy is, something that is an option for me. It's not just, oh, the perfect family down the street or whatever. Like that's a huge deal that you use, that you use that as part of your platform to share with people because
Mhm.
people I think could identify.
Yeah.
They could be like, well, this dude knows my life because it's pretty easy if you're in a situation and it's like, oh, you should get therapy, but for somebody to go, well, you don't know what I've been through. Your dad hasn't been to jail. Your dad hasn't been stabbed. What are you talking
Mhm.
about?
Right.
Mhm.
So for you to be somebody who's using the platform you have to really reach people and like help on that mental health side is incredible. So job well done. And thank you for that work because those are the people who need it the
Yeah.
most. I feel like.
I appreciate
Especially
that.
the men, right? You
Yeah.
you talk to us about that too. That's sort of like your mission is to reach more men and to like let them know that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, it is.
Like you're
Mhm.
not alone.
Absolutely. Because my brother, I told you about my brother, he committed suicide in '08. And at that time,
I'm so sorry about that.
I appreciate that. I mean, at that time, I didn't
Yeah.
have like the mental capacity to really ask to even, I
Mhm.
didn't know what was going on at the time. And so when he
Yeah.
did what he did, that's when I started to like look at things differently, and I started to have my own like thoughts as well. When I started going through things, like when my
Mhm.
mom passed away, I started to feel suicidal myself at that time because I had too much idle time on my
Mhm.
hands, and then everything was starting to shut down with the pandemic and everything, and it was just too much going on at that time. So that's why I really try to push mental health to a lot of people. Not saying I'm perfect because I'm not perfect. I'm still working through things myself, but I just want people to feel
Mhm.
comfortable,
Sure.
find a safe space so they can talk, and just handle things in a healthy manner. That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Because when my brother died, I didn't handle things correctly. Like I was a little mean. I didn't care if things didn't get
Mhm.
paid. I didn't care about anything. But when my mother died, I said, you know what? I'm gonna do things different. I'm gonna, do therapy. I'm gonna whatever I need to do. I'm doing it at that point. So I
Mhm.
changed, and plus I was older too. You know, what I mean, I was much older compared to when my brother had passed away. This group called Blue October. They got a song called "Hate Me."
Oh.
That makes me think about their whole ordeal. Because I think for us as men and,
Mhm.
and just human beings, we need to have that outlet. All of us suffer with depression. Some people don't want to admit it. I can admit it. I'd be depressed, not every day, but I do have my moments where it come and go for sure. I mean, how can I not?
Hmm.
Especially when you have that
Totally.
void.
Exactly. Well, right. Well, especially after grief, as Amanda in a whole different path, yet exactly the same, right? Losing her brother.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she'll speak to that too. But it's like it really seems like grief in general takes us, especially those first really major, like a sibling or a parent or whatever it might be,
Hmm. Hmm.
really rips off a layer of armor that we tend to be able to walk around with. And all of a sudden you're just exposed to everything. And that is not, it's not an easy place to
No,
be
no,
at all.
no. It's dark. It's
No, and
At
real
then
all.
dark.
very
Hmm.
dark. And the music for me helps. It's like a form of therapy. It helps me to be able to tap into like whatever those emotions are going on in there that I can't really reach. I don't really know what I'm feeling, but then there are some artists out there that just can put words to what I'm feeling. And it's like, holy cow. Like, yeah, like that's exactly what I'm going through and what I'm feeling. And then it can help me, I guess, go into it more and feel more comfortable because not just somebody else is singing about it, but it's the words and then it's the actual music together that just brings something up and out and makes me see things a little bit differently or feel things a little bit differently and then feel safe to go into that safe space like you said. So I think music is 100% therapy. So if anybody's listening and you're not ready for therapy, um, go find some music that speaks to your soul because
Right.
it'll
Absolutely.
open you up. It'll crack you
Yes.
wide open.
Absolutely. I mean,
For sure.
like Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? That's another one I love.
Mm.
My mom used to play that all the time. And when I hear it, it make me think
Mhm.
about her a lot. You know what I mean? Because it's still a
Yeah.
relevant song. Like not much has changed besides the year and the technology. You still got a lot of turmoil,
Yeah.
a lot of
It's true.
conflict, a lot of issues.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of these atrocities that we still face as human beings still goes on.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me. I feel like music is probably one of the most powerful um, energies or entities, or I don't even know. There's so much that it can do. Um, you even watch at a concert at any point, or where there's one,
Mhm.
there's
Yep.
one band or one person on stage, but they are able, in that point, they're like a channel, like a lightning rod,
Yes.
to have everybody in the room feeling the same thing. And it might be behind the words of a song, the lyrics of something they wrote on a dark day, not realizing. I feel like musicians like that are tapping into a collective that it might
Totally.
not even be their own thoughts. It's theirs, but they're feeling the world's too, right? Which is why, like, maybe again, it's like some of it comes out, and there are times a musician will hit you in a way where the way their chord progressions are, and their lyrics and everything hit you in a way that it might not hit, your brother, your sister, or somebody right next to you the same way. But there's generally a whole group of people who can sit there in an auditorium at the same time singing all the same words and feeling the same feelings, and the power behind that is not many other things like it.
Yeah, Ginny and I
Absolutely.
just went to go see Pearl Jam back in September in
That's
Texas.
Ugh,
right.
it's
Yeah, and
amazing.
and I don't know, Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam, when they're all up there together, they have just a way of getting everybody in that space, whether
Mhm.
20,000 people. Like, yes, we're feeling it and but thinking about it, how it affects us in our lives in different ways, but ultimately there's just this connection. There's just this
Mhm.
collective energy that's going on, and I think
Mhm.
great artists can do that. They have massive effect over large groups of people, and
Mhm.
they also have a big responsibility, to handle that responsibly. And because people are influenced by, the things that artists are saying and doing, and that energy that they put out there is very persuasive. It's very influential. And but Ginny, I'm sure you felt it too. I mean, you went to the show back in September in Denver as well, a year ago. So you know what
Unbelievable.
I'm talking about. They have that
Yeah.
thing. Some of these bands
Yes.
just have this like spark
Oh,
that just
yeah. And
makes you feel connected to something greater.
it is something greater, right? It's like there's no and I mean, I used to feel that there's so many
So
shows,
many.
sometimes even like people you may not have heard of before, or people like Dave Matthews. There were so many times I would go to these outdoor shows. Dave Matthews is such a good prime example of that,
Mhm,
where
mhm.
sometimes I'd be going into these songs that were full on instrumental. You'd hear Carter on the drums or whoever. There's the words even, but whatever is, like, being generated, that
Yeah,
energetic feel, and there's still emotion, and you could feel it there, and it's yeah, or hearing everybody chant, like I was saying before, to hear everybody chant the lyrics of whenever, Eddie Vedder or whoever puts the mic out, like, to the
uh-huh.
crowd, and the crowd with one voice
And
is
we're all
singing.
singing, I'm still alive,
Yeah,
like we're all alive,
Yeah.
stuff like
exactly.
that. Just an example. But everybody knows
Yes.
that song, right? But yeah, something goes on there.
Well,
Something
let
definitely
me ask
goes
you a
on.
question
Music
real
is
quick,
so
Amanda.
powerful.
What song
Yep.
influenced you?
Well, I have many. Well, there are different influences in different times of my life. Getting sober. Um, I had been listening to a Pearl Jam album. I started listening to it in like March. I think it came out in May, but I knew somebody and I got a little bit early. So I was listening to it and I got sober in July. So March, April, May, June, July. So for 4 months I was listening to this album. And I went to my first recovery meeting. And the guy in the meeting that's chairing, so there's like a person that sits and like leads the meeting and we call it a chairperson. He's chairing the meeting and he says the attitude adjustment is an inside job, and talking about
Mm.
addiction and alcoholism as an attitude problem. And that in and of itself was interesting. This is about my attitude. And then when he said is an inside job, I was like, wait a minute.
Hmm.
Pearl Jam has a song called Inside Job. And I'd just been listening to this song for the past 4 months. So I go out to my car, I turn it on, and I'll never forget sitting outside that church. I was sitting outside a church. It was dark. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm in my car. I had a white Altima at the time. And I was sitting in the car.
Hey, I've had a white Ultima.
You have a white Altima too? Doesn't surprise me. And
Sorry. Go ahead.
no, and I put the song on and I listen and I'm like, oh my God, this is all about recovery. All these lyrics. Because
Mm.
if now I know years later, there's a lot of jargon that we say and like just for today, I'm free, stuff like that. And it was so powerful to me that not just the lyrics and how I felt this sense of freedom that it's over, and that this was something that I had to do internally, that my problem was not outside. It wasn't that I just liked to drink and when I drink I couldn't stop, or that I was just a fun party girl. Like I had now understood that there was something inside of me that needed to heal. But I also realized that the person who wrote that song actually was not Eddie Vedder, it was another band member, wrote the song, the lyrics, and the music. He wrote the whole thing. He's in recovery. And I was like, oh my God, if this guy being a musician in that world, right? I knew musicians, I guess I had heard here and there, some of them were sober. But I was like, this guy that I look up to so much is living in this world and he is sober, then maybe I could get sober, because I definitely don't have all that stress and pressure and outside influence, to just in that world, that rock and roll world is just different. Like we talked about, the drugs, alcohol just go hand in hand. Uh, and it really inspired me. It really, really inspired me. I wanted to do it probably because he had done it, and maybe I felt like maybe I could be somewhat in that world. Like if that person's in that world, maybe I want to be in that world too. So I think, we talk a lot about anonymity in our program, but I think it really serves a purpose sometimes when people let it out and let people know that there is
Mhm.
another way, that you don't have to live like that. Right. So, that was one. That was one. And there's so many. When I was running and I got inspired to write my book, actually the song that really did it was Pump Up the Volume. Remember that song from like the 1980s?
Yes.
Pump up the volume, pump
Yes.
up the volume, dance, dance, Um, and I would run and I'm like, maybe it's time to pump up the volume. Maybe it's time to like let the world know these things that I have going on inside of me.
Mhm.
And like writing a book then I was struck with like, you're going to write a book. And it was like, okay, it's time for me to pump up my volume and let people know and let people hear me. So there's a lot, but I guess those are a couple. What about you? What about you,
Oh,
Patrick? What
oh,
do
I
you
love.
listen to? Like, I know you work out a lot. I know you work out. What
Yep.
gets you pumped? What's your pump up song?
Honestly, nowadays, well, in recent years, I listen to more like podcasts and audiobooks when I'm working out now.
Oh, you do?
Isn't that funny how that happens?
A lot of people do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
As
'Cause,
we age,
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, because like some,
age,
I'm
age of
still back
wisdom.
in 1985. You guys are definitely
I
in
love it.
2023.
I mean, honestly, let me see. I don't know, 'cause some of the music today, it doesn't really inspire me, but I will go to the class. I was like, Metallica or some Tupac or
Mhm.
well, Tupac
Tupac's
for me.
always.
Yeah, for me, Tupac, because he's very he grabbed you with his voice. Like it's very emotional. You can feel his pain. You can feel just the intensity. You know what I mean? Like it's something. Even though he's been
Mhm.
dead for a long time, you can still feel it to this day. And so certain
And
songs,
clearly,
exactly,
just so
absolutely.
clearly.
Absolutely, and I can relate to some of that stuff. I'm trying to think because he got way too many songs. Good lord, so
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 many.
so many tears. That's one of them. Like I relate to that because I lost a lot of people
Mm.
myself. I get it. You know, I totally understand that.
Mhm.
It's like one of my favorite. It's dark, but it's a really really good song. The beat was just it was hard. I feel it. I do. So that's one of them for sure.
Mhm.
But I do like to
Mhm.
listen to, like, say, Metallica. Like, that's one of my favorite bands. I like Pink Floyd a lot. Their album,
So good.
The Other Side of the Moon, I think that's what it's called. That's my
Dark Side of
Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the
Yes,
Moon.
yes, that's my favorite album from
Yes.
them, period. That's my favorite. I
So
don't know
good.
why, but
Yep.
it is. Sonically, it's
It's a
just
lot of
amazing.
people's.
Classic.
It
Yep.
is.
It's a lot of people's.
Absolutely, it
It's so
is.
funny. I remember that brings me back to like the memory because I'm pretty sure it's Dark Side of the Moon that in high school when they're like, "All right, guys, we're gonna eat these mushrooms and watch The Wizard of Oz. It's Dark Side of the Moon." Have you heard about this,
Yep.
Patrick?
Yes,
I
Okay,
heard that.
yes.
so it was like, "All right, when the lion roars, you're gonna turn on the first song," and they were saying the whole thing is like in sequence.
Right.
I never did it. I've heard it from friends,
Oh, you never did it.
or maybe I did.
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm,
just kidding. Yes, I did.
I'm about to say something. Yep.
Is that the same album when you play it backwards? Supposed to like give some kind of like demonic message. There's some
Those were
album.
more like Motley Crue,
Was that
I
Molly?
think,
Yeah.
was that.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, either one.
Right?
Yeah, either or, yeah. But yeah, that's one of my
It's
favorites. It's sonically it's just so advanced for its time, I think.
mhm.
yes.
My favorite I say instrumental track on that song is called Any Color You Like. I just like the arrangement. I think it's great. It's just a beautiful track. You got to
It's
listen
so
to it.
cool.
Yeah, Any Color You Like.
Any
That's what it's called.
color,
Yeah.
any color you like. Pink Floyd.
Yes. I love it. I don't know why. I just love it.
There you
It
go.
stuck out to me. I was in
All
art
right.
school. I was going to art school at the time, and that was like one of my favorite songs I listened to when I was like working on music stuff. Cause I made a song with my buddy out in Sweden. Her name is Victoria. She was on my podcast as well, actually, because her and I put out a project a few years ago. We did like an EP. I think you heard one of the songs,
Mhm.
like a jazz type
I think
thing.
yes. Yeah. I think you
Yes,
sent. You showed me. Yep.
I
When we
did. I
first
Mhm.
met.
did. But at that time, we had collaborated, and I did like a song. I sampled Gordon Lightfoot. I forgot what song it was, but I sampled him, and it came out
That's so
so.
cool.
Yeah, it came out so dope. And then I had an opportunity to get interviewed with a big station out in LA and even meet with some labels, but my idiotic self took a nap that day, and I forgot to set my alarm, and I missed it. So
Oh,
yes,
no.
yes, I kicked myself like I was like, "God, yeah, yeah, yeah." So that's what happened, but yeah, yep,
Ginny had some close encounters with
labels.
fame and
Oh,
celebrityism,
okay,
haven't
I
you?
mean,
share it.
gosh,
Let's hear it.
I don't know. I meum, I don't know, but no, I lived in LA, like, I was 19, I know about, I lived in Hollywood. I was 19, I lived there till I was 25, and that's what I was doing was, making music, and it was incredible because I was surrounded excuse me, guys, I was surrounded in a lot of people at that time that were just some of the most talented, gifted people I've ever heard in my whole life. Had ever heard play music, live even. And I got the opportunity to go to good thing for editing, Amanda, because there's all kinds of stuff happening. There's kids yelling, I'm choking, I'm dying.
We might
Hold
just
on,
keep
guys.
this in. Mm.
It's a lot
We
going
should
on.
for fun. I'm like, think I'm all, what is happening? There's children screaming. Jenny's
That's
like
okay.
choking on the
It's a
air.
Sunday. It's a Sunday afternoon. What are you
Yes,
gonna do? The kids
it's
are home.
all good.
Sunday,
No judgment.
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all. It's like this is how we're gonna get. It,
Yeah. That's how we roll.
it's not anything if we're not being authentic, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But I got to live. Yeah, I was living in Hollywood at that time, and there were incredible musicians. Some of my closest friends were all kids that were coming out of um, the Music Institute right there in Hollywood. Like I lived in Hollywood, just a couple blocks near Sunset. I lived by the In and Out Burger. Tons of my friends went to school there. My boyfriend at the time was playing bass and, learning keys there. He had met guitar playing guys there. And a lot of those people went on to do pretty great things. I had the chance to listen to people who ended up becoming like some of the creators of the music for Orange is the New Black. Oh,
Julian
yeah.
too. Julian
And
and
yes. Yeah,
I'm
so
drawing a blank. LA Fault Line. They
yes,
opened
I
up for
played
some.
in yeah, for Carlos Santana and
Oh,
for
that's so dope.
Sierra
That is
and
so
all
cool.
oh my g yeah, the guys I played with, man, they were again, that situation, they did not grow up easy, they grew up hard, most of them were from Lincoln Heights and Montebello and East LA, and, you hear the stories too about how they stayed out of gangs at that time. You were either pl if you were either in a gang or you were playing music.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean? Like,
That's what I'm saying. That's
all
how
those things,
powerful it is. That's how
so
powerful it is that
powerful.
it grips
Yeah,
people, that it's
yeah,
enough. It becomes enough, right? It
Yeah,
becomes
yes.
like enough that you don't need other things to fill that void because the music is
Mm-mm.
doing it for you.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And that was such an amazing experience for me just because these were all guys who, again, none of them, I don't, maybe a couple of them were trained, but not really. They learned by being in it and playing, like they learned by learning early on, picking up an instrument and starting to play. They didn't have all the theory background and all that, but the way that they could play together was just incredible. And a lot of it encompassed that early Latino vibe, that was in Los Angeles during that time of guys like that were coming up. And then my friend Julian, that's who passed away in April. He was my guitar player at his funeral, hearing all these younger kids and different people coming up and talking about like how influential, you know, um, in the like Latino music scene there, how these guys were just integrated into that at the time when these bigger names were hitting it big. They were all from around that area. So for me to get to play music with them, I was way younger and it was cool because they were open, here I was, some like younger chick from Albuquerque, New Mexico, but they knew that I loved to sing and they knew I loved to write. I didn't necessarily have the theory or music, technologically behind me either. But to be able to have these, again, group of musicians, right? We probably didn't have a ton in common, but when it came to music, we had everything in common. We had a world in common. And they would start writing different songs, or we would start with just a few chords. And I remember Julian, it's the first time I ever collaborated with anybody. He knew, he'd be like, "Okay, well, it's a this is a G. Is this what you're talking about?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't have any theory." But I would tell him, "Yes, that's it. That's the note. Okay, do that twice. Okay, do that bridge twice." Then he'd go, "All right." He's all, "We're gonna do the verse." And then I would write the lyrics. And here this guy was, a seasoned musician who trusted me enough to let me have that creative process, without that, I don't think I ever would have been in a position to be able to ever write music. And I don't know, having that whole situation, I'm sure Patrick, you probably collaborated with people. That's one of the most amazing, magical things I think you can experience with other human beings is creating music together. It's crazy. Have you had the chance to do that?
Oh yeah, I mean, with my old group, we used to collab a lot of times. We have ideas and
Right.
even just with words, like what to say. And when me and Victoria, when we did our project a few years ago, when my parents had passed away, she would let me know if I need to, I guess, remove certain stuff on the beat or if I need to, uh,
Mm.
arrange things a certain kind of way or whatnot. So yeah, it
Mhm.
was very interesting because the style that we did, I never done that before. For real, I never done that
Right.
before, and the way it came out, it sounded really good. You know what I mean? Like it was. She
Yes.
pushed me, and I pushed her as well because she never done that style before either. Because she's a folk music singer. That's what she does. But when her and I,
Wow.
when her and I came together, it was more like I say like a jazz alternative type
Mhm.
fusion, if that makes sense. It was very unique.
Mhm.
So absolutely, I loved it. And at that
That's so
time,
Yeah.
cool.
well, in that time, I was very depressed. Like I was going through so much at that time. So that
Mhm.
gave me an outlet to express myself, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Because I wasn't working
100%.
out.
And I wanted to, yeah, that wasn't working out. Yeah, yeah. So you needed that. And I think that's the cool thing, like what Jeannie and I talk about a lot on our show, is what happens, that synergistic thing that happens when people are brought together. And I think music has that ability in a really impactful and profound way to just create this energy. Like you could have five different people on a stage, and because it's those five people, those specific
Mhm.
people that come together and have this connection and this energy, so they make this group, and then their own individual energies kind of come together to make a larger new energy, which is then presented through the music as its own energy, right? Does that make sense? Have you guys had that experience where like you come into the table with something, and then it happens a lot, not just in music. Just, when you have
Mhm.
anything great that's being created out in the world, typically it's from people coming together, right?
Absolutely.
And having that new energy being birthed into the world that only those people can do,
Yeah.
Right.
right? You take one of those people out, you put another person in, it might be a different energy, and it might be a great energy too, but it's going to be a different energy than when those other people were doing it,
Even if it
right?
was
Absolutely.
Like
just like a
often, like,
base. Even just a baseline, like the guys that I got to play with, because it wasn't just a couple. I mean, the band was gigantic. There's a horn section. There were percussion and timbales and congas and all that. And the bass player, his name was Guy. He was amazing. God rest his soul.
Rest in peace.
Grew up hard. Same thing. Yes, rest in peace. He was amazing. This guy. And in fact, all these friends I had that were like going to the music institute would come and watch us in these crazy places in East LA. They'd be scared. They're like, where are we going to see you play music? Like, what are we doing? And they would hear him play, and they were like, "Dude, that guy has, like, the funk in him in a way." Like, he's playing,
mm,
like, hard, difficult things, and it was naturally right there in him. So there were songs that we would write, and a lot of times that's exactly how they'd come together. It would start with an acoustic guitar, boom, and then I'm writing lyrics, and then our drummer's adding in his part, and then
yeah,
that shifts it, and then our bass player's adding in what he's hearing, and
and
that
it
shifts
changes it
it.
again.
Everything just continues to, and someone's adding in horns and then, percussion, and it's like by the time at the end, it it wouldn't have evolved into that with even the slightest thing being a little different. You're right. One person stepping in and hearing it differently. By
Mhm.
the end of it, you've got this like creation in this song that everybody's soul is in a little bit, and it gets shaped that way. That's
Yes.
exactly how it gets shaped. It's very cool.
That's why it's so
So
important for
cool.
us to be coming together and doing things collectively with
Mhm.
having more connection with each other, whether it's writing
Yeah.
music or it's, at events and giving some kind of message or collaborating on a book or just
Mhm.
anything, and
Mhm.
I feel like it's so important right now to talk about this because we are so isolated and we are feeling so alone and we are the depression, the addiction, the mental illness, that stuff is just skyrocketing the more and more we become separated from each other and isolated
Mhm.
from each other, right? So I just love that music is just such an easy thing, that like a simple way for people to just, anybody can pick up a guitar, or there's obviously different levels of skill,
Yes.
but like you could, or pick up a drum, like you could just do it. Like you could just come together. Like we had a party here last summer in my house where we just invited a whole bunch of people over and bring your instruments and just jam and just have fun.
So cool.
Yeah, and I have a friend who I'm gonna be going hopefully soon to a drum circle with, and, like that, I feel like it's just creates this
Wow.
good feeling that, like, you just don't
Mhm.
get really any other way. So, I love that music will is always there. It was there
Mhm.
thousands of years ago, picking up a rock and banging on it, whatever they did. There was always a way to create this otherworldly energy that's not really coming from our own. It's coming from ourselves, but it's in
Mhm.
collaboration with, I believe, spirit, and I believe
Oh,
all
yeah.
great creations are coming from spirit through us. So to just get that thing just more energized is just, it's exciting. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you think even just like native tribes and people like that, it's and I mean, cultures of all types, music is a part of their like foundation. You know what I mean? Whether it
Yeah.
is that it's even in, people in religion, if people are praising God or people are, singing in prayer or, even with Muslims, it's like they chant or Buddhism, I think it's chant. You go back to chanting. How old is that? I mean, that goes
Yeah.
so far back. And so much of it, I think, is like, I don't know, maybe it's something outside of us that goes back to that consistent cadence, like the beat of things, like we have a heartbeat. I think that maybe music
Mm.
and the beat of things pulls at us the same way, and why maybe it speaks to the heart a lot.
We
Like
are
a and it's a
electric.
good we are. It's electric,
It's
man.
electric. Yes, we
So
did
you can
talk
even do
about
the
that one
electric.
of our
And
shows.
okay, and what do you
That was
guys think
that.
of? Tell me you don't think of a wedding. You're like, "All right, it's time to do the electric
Yes,
slide." I
indeed.
always think
Yes.
of a wedding.
Yeah.
Right? Did you think of somebody's
Yeah.
wedding right now? Come on, it's
Yep.
electric, dude. You're like,
Yep. Yep.
electric, yeah.
They
But
get the
that is
party
what
You're
going.
music
looking.
does, right? That's like
It
everyone. You're
does.
like, what do you think of when you hear this? People are usually like, a wedding, my cousin's wedding. Everybody got drunk and there
Yeah.
was a fight, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Oh yes.
It's like a perfect time machine. That's the thing about music too. I don't know that there's anything besides smell. I feel like music is one of those things that is
Mm.
like literally a time machine.
Yes.
It can take
Yes.
you right back
Oh, yeah.
immediately to the emotional, almost just perfectly, almost like a, mummified your emotions. Like you could hear that song and you're like, oh my God, it literally, whoop, like a time machine
Yes.
takes you right back to the feelings, good or bad.
Absolutely.
It's like it's one of the only things that has that power. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of crazy. That's kind of magical shit right there.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm stuck in the 90s and like 90s grunge music and rock music and classic rock. Growing up in my house, my dad would listen to Tom Petty and the Talking Heads
Yes.
and like all those the bands that were coming up in the 70s and 80s, And then for me, my
Mhm.
time, like, being a teenager and listening to just all the grunge music that was out. And I'm always trying to, like, get back. Like, I'm a very nostalgic person,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
always
There's
I'm
nothing wrong with
always
that.
looking to, like, relive the past. Yeah, no,
Nope.
I like it. I like it. It's also a challenge for me, though, to, like it's part of my personality where I have to push myself to step into change and to
Mm.
adapt. I have, like, a little bit of get stuck in places, right? But it makes me feel good. It makes me feel safe. It brings back the good old days, I like it. Like, I
Yes.
remember building forts with my brother and listening to the Talking Heads album and, like, stuff like that. Like, I just parties, right?
Oh my God,
Tell
yeah.
me a bit more about your podcast and what you like, the different types of people that you interview because it's a broad range.
I want to kind of like, I guess, like unify people. You know what I mean? Because everybody always
Yeah.
finds some kind of way to be divided on skin color or whatever the situation might be. And it's like, nah, like we all
Mhm.
very similar. We all have our own life stories. Like just because somebody may be the same skin color as me, don't mean we have the same experience. You know what I mean? Like we have our own ideology.
Yes.
And so that's why I started
Yes.
to have different people come over to my place or even do video calls to show my range of people that I know. And also it shows what kind of person I am as well, for sure.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so yeah, so
Definitely. Yeah.
so the biggest thing is like I do talk about every episode I kind of talk about mental health, even if it's for a little bit. Like this is the biggest thing is like mental health. Like talk about depression, how we what we need to, how do we I guess like deal with it? How do we
Mhm.
overcame it?
Mhm.
But then, I ask about all kind of questions. I try to I guess show the um I guess make people more human, I suppose. You know what I mean? Like even when I had the dominatrix
Mhm.
on my episode, I was trying to show the humanity part of her as well when she talked about certain things that
Mhm.
she, going through in life or even like past relationships or whatever. We talk about those things for sure because
Mhm. Mhm.
we're more than just our title. You know what I mean? We're more than just that. So
Exactly,
I try to,
exactly. So I find now, like we're talking about, like people in different walks of life, and a dominatrix versus I don't know anything about that, or some different skin color, and I'm white or whatever. Like
yeah,
I feel like I see people now more for their energy
absolutely,
than for what's on the surface,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like when I see a human being, it's what are they emanating, right? Doesn't matter what they look like.
mm-mm.
Doesn't matter anything, walk of life, anything like that. It's a feeling that I get when I'm around a person that that draws me to them or pushes me away.
Yeah,
And so that I feel like comes just with the spiritual enlightenment and the work that as well for you. The more we open up and the more like spiritual we become or more in touch with our own emotions, the more sensitive we become. And then we can we tend to like take things on, or it works in both ways. Sometimes it's hard because then you're taking all that energy and you got to do all that work to kind of cleanse that or whatever. But then it also makes you very intuitive, and it
yeah,
makes you able to pick up on people's energy and say that person is a person like you and I and you and Ginny. Like we're each other's kinds of people where like we can just feel and sense from each other that we want to know each other better and we want to spend more time and work together and stuff like that because of what we can offer the world, really. I think is what, and our own personal well-being. So
absolutely.
I think it's awesome being in this world. I love it.
We're finding our people and finding myself like
Yeah,
and
yeah,
finding, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like
Yes.
in a way I just did not anticipate. I always kind of felt like, the podcasting thing was pulling at me in a way, and in a similar way like you, Patrick. I do I love people. I I love the things that I end up being able to learn, or also how they end up um like alchemizing me. Like me being around them
Yes,
changes or
totally.
sparks something inside of me, and all of a sudden it's like, and sometimes it's not always easy, right? Or sometimes it's not always great things.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's a shitty situation that my
Yeah.
Yeah,
interaction
yeah,
with
yeah.
them
Yeah.
causes. but it also causes the spark maybe to burn something down in order to make space for something else. It's like, to me, that's the intriguing thing.
Totally.
And this world of what we're doing of podcasting. And also there's so many people, like technology, man, I dropped off. I don't know if we got hit by a solar flare or
Yeah,
what.
welcome back.
Right,
Welcome
Yeah,
thanks.
welcome back.
Ginny.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm so happy to
I
have
was
you here
blah,
today.
blah, blah. We're talking about control. I'm all, but yeah, like, yeah, Ginny, you're right. You have 0. Like, we're going to toss a solar flare at your face and what? I was like, what the frick just happened? I'm texting Amanda. I'm all, I've never had this happen in my life. It was really, but this is
First
like,
time for everything.
right?
It's
And
all good.
honestly, it's like, it's like it's primed for the, it's like, yeah, this is normally, this seems perfect. But yeah, I think that being able to interact with people like you, people like, the people we keep coming in contact with, the amazing thing about this technology and what we have in our hands is being able to talk to people in the UK and being able to talk to
All
people in
over.
all these places all over the world
Yep.
where
Yep.
immediately just from talking and interacting that you guys, that your spirits are onto something,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that all of us in this world right now that are doing what we do. There's so many podcasts out there and there's so many good ones. Oh my gosh, there's so
Yeah.
many good ones.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much it's just the short period. We're in like what, March, right, Amanda?
We started in March.
That's 7-8 months ago. Like, that's
That's pretty
crazy
awesome.
to me because it feels like
Yes.
it's worlds ago, and
Yeah.
not just. Yeah, we both had like just crazy levels of changing and shifting, and I feel like it's because we're here, like we're all working shit out together. Like even if
Yes.
it is, if I'm talking to you, we're talking to you about music. It's like all of a sudden something else comes up in me, and I've heard
Yep.
the conversations you've had with some like fascinating people,
Mhm.
that someone
Mhm.
may not think about. Someone may not be like, oh, I mean, like the dominatrix chick, right? I like
Yeah.
just there's not a lot of people who would think or even have an open mind about like, well, what's that life? What does that person go through on the day to day? And I love
Right.
Yeah,
that.
you were so open-minded. You
So
just have this
open-minded.
like huge open mind, open heart. You're like not afraid to just
Mm-mm.
investigate
No.
like
Oh,
other people's walks of life. And that's so huge.
And
Thank you for being who you are.
accepting of people, because that is what we
absolutely.
need.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah,
literally
we
like
do.
an
Yes.
open place to say, because you're like, you know what, I want to know what your human experience is, like legitimately, authentically as it can be. You're doing something really important with that, Patrick, and I love watching, as you continue to grow, and I know you'll grow even more, but
I
it's so
appreciate it.
important. Yes,
Thank
right? You're like,
you.
what?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
True.
No,
We don't
what
want
the
to be
same.
authentic.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the same for you too, because like I say, from the first episode to the last one, you can definitely tell the growth. Even the audio
Yeah.
quality, it sounds amazing, and I
Yeah.
can tell you very comfortable
Well,
for
thank you.
sure. Absolutely, yes. You girls are
Yeah, we
killing
love
it.
it. We love doing it. We love doing it. And yeah, like what I love about you is your just complete like lack of judgment. Like you're
Yes.
more curious than you are judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is huge. And that probably makes a lot of your guests and made us. I mean, we were with you for a long time
Yeah,
together that we recorded,
yes, yes.
Yes.
Oh
right?
yeah,
And it just because we felt comfortable
And it was
because we
easy.
were like, yeah, I want to keep going. And I
Yeah.
think if more people out there in the world can try to give off that vibe and that feeling, but truly get to that place inside first. You can't give away something you don't have, but allow people to feel comfortable around us to the
Mhm.
point where they don't feel judged, they feel accepted, and then just that's how the love grows,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
absolutely.
we've been saying all you need is love. All you need is love. We've been saying that since I guess the Beatles. I don't know. I've been
Yeah.
saying that love is the
I
answer.
bet you
Right?
those
We've been
guys
saying that forever.
Yep.
Back to the music.
They probably got it
Yeah.
from
So
somebody.
yeah, I mean, we've been saying this for freaking ever,
Yeah,
and it's just time that we do that. And I think in whatever artistic form that we're being called to, Ginny and I talk about this a lot on our shows, like we all have some kind of like spark and some kind of gift
Mhm.
and to be out there doing it right now so that and I think us, the ones that are doing it now, have a duty and a responsibility to encourage other people and to motivate other people to step into this space because it can be intimidating. It can be scary, right? But if we're inviting people into a
Mhm.
welcoming people into this warm, loving, accepting place, then they're going to feel more comfortable to open up and share what's going on inside because we're all here for a purpose. I mean, Ginny says it like a million. Oh, she said it a bunch of times last season. Like whatever you have in you, that spark is what you're meant to leave on this earth
Mhm.
when we leave.
And no one else
So
Absolutely.
can
I
leave
think
it.
it's
There's
cool.
no other body that'll leave it. Literally,
No,
your body's the
No.
no.
only one that was able to transport it here. So please leave it with us. Because it's
Exactly.
like
Yes, and then
you're coming from like, outer space heaven. And it's like
Yeah, yeah.
you literally when you came here, you brought a spark with you and no one else could bring it but you. And it's like to think about how many people might leave with, not realizing how special, even if they felt like they weren't, didn't matter that much. It's like, no, it matters because it'll never be able to come back in that form ever again. So
No.
please leave it.
Mhm.
Instead of us being threatened of each other when one of us is doing well in a whatever it is, right? We have this human condition of like, oh God, they're
Yeah.
doing better than me. And it's like, no, you don't have to feel that way. You want them to do well. Push
Join.
them.
We wanna join. We wanna join
Exactly.
together and
Right.
say,
Yes.
"That's awesome that that person's doing that. Can I get involved in that? Can
And
I do that
and to
somehow?
not
Can
be
I?" That's
afraid.
the whole point. Yeah. It's the whole point, I think, of why we have our artistic abilities and our personalities and the things that we put out there in the world to inspire and motivate people is to bring us together into that space. And most people that I see, if I ever have that feeling, they're not putting off any energy of like, I'm better than you
No.
and you should be, threatened by me. No, no, no. If I
Right.
ever feel like that, it's my own shit, right? It's the own
Right.
stuff that I'm going through. It
100%.
on that day,
Yes.
because it doesn't happen all the time. It happens occasionally. And then I have to check in and say, well, what am I feeling right now? What am I going through right now that's
Mhm.
making me feel this separation from this person instead of this coming together,
Right.
So
It's a fear.
it's
It's gotta
never
be
the
fear, right? It's
hmm
gotta be fear.
hmm
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I'm sure.
also too, think about our podcast is our legacy when you think about it. Like this is something
Oh,
that's gonna
yeah.
be here once
Yeah.
we dead and gone.
Forever.
If
That's
people want to know who
true.
I am or who you are, they can play this or play whatever episode and they know who you are. They can learn.
Yeah.
Your
My
grandkids,
kids.
Yes.
great
Your
grand, yeah,
grandkids.
great
Great
grandkids, all that.
grandkids.
Yeah, all these
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's
That's
my
So
it's my
cool.
documentation, it's my audio book in a way. You know what I mean? Because I do talk about certain things
Yeah.
that people don't know about my life, things that I went through or
right.
seen. It's still more things I haven't shared yet. I don't know if I would share
Yeah.
everything, but I share, some other things for sure eventually. Oh
We
yeah,
all
Yeah.
got those
Keep it in the
chapters.
arsenal.
Yeah, we all got those
absolutely.
Yeah.
chapters.
And to think about
When
it
it's
too,
time
when,
to
when I
come
have my
out.
guests, I really want people to like to feel comfortable and share their testimony. Even when I had my cousin who was an inmate in prison, he
Yes.
felt very comfortable. He wanted to talk about it. I said, cool. I said, it's no judgment at all. And I asked him, I said,
Mhm.
how'd you feel when they closed the door on you? You know you weren't coming home.
Mm.
He said, honestly, I broke down and cried. 'Cause he was 15 at the time. And he's 45 now. He's been there for 30 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Holy crap.
So I mean, him
And
even
that
as
yep,
a soul, like he has developed as this human experience. The bigger chunk of it has been behind bars. That's
absolutely. Yeah. But now they have cell phones and stuff now. They can kind of I guess know what's going on. But of course, the real world is different for this social media. It's
sure is,
way
isn't
different.
it?
Oh yeah, definitely. But they can probably, Google, listen to music.
Oh
They
yeah.
can listen to podcasts. They could probably
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. They'll do stuff like that. So bringing it back to like the whole music thing, like even when you're down and out, in jail, for
Mhm.
all that time, and the beating your soul must take being in there and your mind playing tricks on you and all the stuff
Constantly.
that goes on by being alone and just the same people in
Mhm.
the yard and whatever whenever you see them, like it just must be grating on a human. But then to have that music or something to turn it on and just to escape for a moment or to go into a different or listen to an upbeat song, right, to get you out of that, like
Yeah.
that is why I think music is so important, because we can get to some really, really,
Oh
really low places.
yeah. Absolutely.
Like that song, Inside Job. So that song again saved my life more than once because
Mhm.
I was sitting in the parking lot. It was my brother's funeral. I flew home. I had to go get all the pictures printed at CVS to make the board,
Mhm.
the board at the funerals, all the pictures.
I'm sorry
And I
about
had to
that, by
go
the way.
pick up his.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had to go pick up his suit at the dry cleaners, stuff like that. And I was by myself and it was raining and I was
Mhm.
driving. I had my mom's car and I was driving and I was in the parking lot at CVS. I had just gotten the pictures and I just started bawling, bawling,
Mhm.
bawling. And the bar that he used to work at that I drank at with him many times was right down the block. It was like 2 or 3 blocks away from where I was. And my thoughts were, if I go there and get drunk, maybe I'll feel closer to him.
Mm.
Maybe I'll relive some kind of memory, right? All this is this crazy alcoholic thinking. But like, Um, and I put that song back on, and I put on Inside Job,
Mm.
and I just sat there and I listened to it, and I just cried, and it just gave me the courage to reach out to somebody, which is what happened. I texted somebody, they called me back or whatever it was, and then it passed. I turned the car on and I went home, went to my mom's, and just kept going, you know. But like that's the power of music to save us
Mhm.
in those moments when there's nothing else.
Mhm.
There's just nothing. So yeah, I think it's super powerful, like nothing else on this planet.
I agree, especially
Absolutely.
when it's like really good storytelling, you can envision what they're saying. What's that song
Mhm.
called? Well, Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers. You can
Oh,
envision.
yeah. I just heard that this morning.
Oh,
That's crazy
really?
you said
Yep.
that. I pulled out of my
You're
Wow.
driveway.
so
Yep.
good. Those
And it was
guys,
on.
those guys pull
Mhm.
at me. Those guys
Wow.
pull at me in a big way. That song,
How
and you're
ironic is
hearing
that?
him. That is ironic,
Wow.
you guys.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But it's like
But you
songs
were
like that, you can envision what they're saying. You know what I mean? It's like when the storytelling is really good, you got a good vocalist. Oh, it makes the song even much better for sure. And the
Mhm.
production, the mixing, all this stuff is everything is in sync. I love that
Yep.
for sure. Yeah, music is everything for me for real. It's everything. I mean, even though I don't really I don't make music as much anymore, but I still have a love for it for sure. I do. I have a love for it. I
Mhm.
mean, I did the music to my I did the beat to my podcast actually. I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
Your
it.
show, the opening song. That's
It's
you.
Yeah.
so good.
It's very cool. It's a very, very cool beat.
Yeah, it fits the show. You know, it does.
It
It fits
does.
my vibe.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And that beat is I did the beat years ago, but I said, you know, I'm using that one. 'Cause I was gonna use some other stuff. But I said, nah, that one just sounds like perfect to me. Just
Mhm.
perfect. It
Yeah.
stands out.
Yeah. Ginny and I were trying, we were waiting on a Universal Publishing Group to approve a song we wanted to use, a Pearl Jam song called
Really?
I Davanita. And it's a
Yeah.
very different sound from Pearl Jam.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were waiting. It's more like bohemian, like vibey. It's
Mhm.
like not a it's very, that album from Vitalogy is just very different sound. And it's just instrumental. And we were waiting for a long time to hear back from them, and they wanted like $1,500 per
Each.
episode.
Yeah.
What?
It was pretty
And we're
high.
like,
1,500.
yeah, we should
had
have
1,500.
a
told me that like
feeling.
2 months ago.
Yep, I had a feeling too. Amanda was like, "I think we can do over the." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I don't know. I think they're gonna give us a pretty high number."
That
And
is
sure
Yeah,
enough,
yeah.
crazy.
yeah,
That is
And then we went
crazy.
on we went on Premium Beats, and we bought our music off
yeah,
of there. It was like $50 and we own it and
it's
we can use it
awesome, and I love
wherever
that
and
song.
whenever we want.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that really, I love our music too, our opening music,
It's
because
dope.
that
Yeah.
like really fits our vibe.
It
It
Like it's
does.
does.
so cool with the guitar
It's
and
called
it's
Surfer
like,
Jim.
yeah,
It's called Surfer Jim.
Yeah.
Surfer
Surfer
James.
James.
But yeah.
Do you guys? So my light. I don't know, you guys. I don't know what it is. So I had that electronic situation happen with the computer. I hate to keep interrupting, but my
No,
my
go ahead.
table light, which I never have happen either, is like, ooh, it's an LED light. So it's like surging. It's powering on and off. So we
Interesting.
must be tapping
Hmm.
into some good stuff.
Must be.
Well, I brought
Must
my
be.
selenite with us. That reminds me of like the Empire State Building. Like,
Yes.
look at this thing. It looks like a building.
I love it.
And it's right here. Maybe I shouldn't have it so close. I don't know. Maybe it's messing up
No.
the
Come on, maybe you're
frequency.
cleaning out all
spirits.
the bad
This is
juju up in
this is
here. Maybe I got some bad juju hanging around. That's all. Oh no, selenite.
I don't know, Jenny.
I gotta get away. I do pretty good. Hey, listen, I do. My husband laughs because I'll go to clean the house and talking about music. When I clean this house, I don't just clean the house like
Right.
with, Fabuloso, although I do use that. But I also am like, I'm going to clean this bitch out. So I will open up
Oh yeah, you
windows
are.
and I will blast like literally high frequency. I'll pick songs. Actually, Chili Peppers have some that are on like a 444 hertz. I'm sure. Do you guys know about that's a whole other episode? And
Is it Can't Stop? Is Can't Stop on
can't.
444?
I don't know, but I love "Can't Stop." That song gets me. So
That's one of my
there's
favorites.
a whole thing about the frequencies and how they were originally in a certain. Do you know all this, Patrick? How it was
Yeah.
originally in a
Oh yeah.
certain tone that
Oh
emanates
yeah. I see
like
it. Yeah.
the hertz that some of it, the lower hertz
What is it?
music.
Yeah, tell us.
Oh my God,
What is it? I don't know what you're talking about.
There's so much to it. But like, okay, so I think it's 532 is a hertz, and it's the frequency of music. There was a time when either when they came up with like the pentatonic scale or something. See, and I don't even have all the theory, but one of these times we should do an entire show on it because it talks about, again, the pull of music. When it is within a certain frequency, there's a negative down, like heaviness vibe it'll put you in. If it's in a higher frequency, if it's at that 528 hertz, it's healing, it's upbeat, and it's all within how, like, whatever it is of the music, frequency of the music. So like you could look up when we get off, you should look up like songs that are in 528 frequency. I think it's 528. And you'll find all these artists. There's people who do it intentionally. There's also people who do it, they say, in those lower frequency hertz too, to emanate anger, to emanate like to
Is that
bark.
is that like drop D in the grunge world?
Is
Drop
that
D is a note on the guitar, and
oh,
it's it's a
probably.
lower. It's like a lower. Like Nirvana is very big. They're all
Oh yeah,
drop
they
D,
were.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were.
which is interesting that I like that kind of music because I'm more of like
No, it's dope
an
though.
uppity.
it
No, it's dope.
is. Well, yeah. And we all need to, we all have a shadow self too, right? So it's like some of
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, I have both. Exactly. It's
We
based
all
on what
do.
my mood is.
We all
What my
do. We
mood
all have a
is.
shadow.
Yeah,
And that's the whole
totally.
idea is bringing them together anyway. But
So
yes,
let me
one
ask
of
you.
these
Let me ask you this
times.
question.
Yeah,
Okay, so whenever you sad, do you listen to sad music? Because I don't. Because I feel like if I
I
listen to sad music
can't.
while I'm sad, it makes me even worse.
It's
So,
me too. I can't do it. That's,
mm-mm.
I used
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of sad music anymore.
to. Yeah, I don't either. I
Only
used
when I'm
to.
only when I'm down. Only when I'm down.
So you
Man,
do listen to sad music when you're down.
when you're down,
Oh
you
yeah,
make
I
yourself
definitely.
feel
can't.
worse.
I like to listen to music. I like
Sad.
to listen to music that matches how I feel
Ooh,
when I want to be in it. When I want to be in it. Sometimes I
Okay.
like being in it, and then when I'm ready to
Interesting.
get out of it, then
Okay.
it's like, oh, let me put this
ooh,
on.
I can't do it. It's too much. Yeah, I'm like, can I listen to? I'm like really sad and right. There's Amanda listening to like Barry Manilow. No, just kidding. And then there's me. I'm like, can somebody bring me "Hanging Tough" by New Kids on the Block?
Didn't they have a tour
That's me.
recently?
They are on tour.
They're still touring. I just saw the other
Hanging
day. I got an
tough.
email.
I'm
Wow,
hanging tough.
amazing.
I freaking love those dudes. But
I'm
Patrick,
sure you did.
there was
Uh-huh.
I can't. But like I can't. It's too much. Like if I start listening to when I was towards the end of my drinking, I did a little bit of the like listening when Amanda, I would play music. I would listen to Jeff Buckley in a cemetery, my homie.
Damn,
I
that's
don't
too
know. I don't
much.
even know who Jeff Buckley
Oh,
is. I mean, I've heard the
do
name
you,
probably from you, but
oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna write that down too.
he's not alive. Oh, Amanda, he's something special. That guy, he passed away, ran like drowned in a river, but incredible and not.
Damn.
He was 100% sober, by the way. He like mocked the whole music industry with how everybody was always hammered. He did not do that. He was like underground, based out of New York. Um,
When did he
get the
die?
album Grace. He died in, I want to say like 96
That's
or
been a long time.
7. And he
Okay.
was 20. He was at that 20. I think he was that 27 club guy.
27, yes. A
His
lot
song,
of the
well,
guys died
Bad.
27.
he redid this. He did Jeff Cohen's Hallelujah. He was one of the first people to like bring that kind of back. But he does it. His voice is so haunting, and his guitar playing is. You actually would probably love him. I cannot believe you've never heard him. The album, if you get the album
No,
Grace,
I may have. I just don't know who it is. I probably
Ooh.
have heard it and didn't know the name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
he
listen to it. What is the album called?
Grace is the first one that you should get.
Grace.
But there's and his father was this famous folk musician who kind of wasn't really around, but he ends up being a musician, and his music was incredible what that guy tapped into vocally and with his guitar. And yeah, I'll have to fight it. So you had never heard him either, Patrick?
No, I probably have. I just don't know the name.
Realize it.
Yeah, that's
He
what I'm
never
saying. I
got
probably did
real
too.
mainstream though. That he passed
Oh,
before
okay.
he ever did.
So
And
he was
yeah.
independent.
Oh yeah. Like he
Okay.
was well known, and like a lot of very famous musicians like reference him or mention him, guitar players. He was very well known, but it was like in that underground, like he never, and that was kind of his thing too. He wasn't real big on like the whole,
The fame.
making it to be
Yeah.
famous thing. But
Mhm.
incredible. That music, whoo, his version of Hallelujah. Actually, you guys should listen to that today. And if you want to get a little bit of the feels,
I probably.
Get some
I think I've
gospel,
heard that. I
right?
think I know what you're talking about.
whoo,
I
yeah,
think that's the one that I think I know by him.
yeah. There's a lot of good ones, but just and here he is. He's gone, but yet you guys have never heard him before, and you're gonna get to know exactly who he is by listening to this. To a piece of his
Yeah.
work. You're right. Music
Yeah,
rock
yeah.
makes
Yep.
us live on forever.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's
So
amazing.
cool.
That'd
It's
be
amazing. It's
That's been a
amazing.
unique experience.
Yes, you're gonna be like, "Jenny, where's Jeff Buckley been my whole life?" I'll be like, "Patrick, I don't know, bro." That's how I felt when somebody I lived in LA at that period of time. I would have never known who that guy was, but I was around all
Well,
these
see, that
guitar
makes sense.
players and these musicians, and the guy who went on to be the Orange is the New Black guy was, like, obsessed with him, and that's how I got to know
That's
who he was.
crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
I had no idea who he was, and I showed him to my brother, and my brother has now, all these years later, like, yeah, music.
Wow.
We can count on it to keep us connected when we still can't see straight.
Hey, that is
I
fact.
wanna the Madonna song is going through my head. Music makes the people come together. Yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
See, even Madonna, she's
Yeah.
got it.
Bring them together, people.
Yep.
Yes, Madonna, icon.
I think that music is gonna be the thing, like, it's gonna be one of the only things that can save us, as silly as that sounds,
Mm,
like, as the world just keeps doing its crazy frickin' whatever is happening,
Yeah. Whatever it
that
is. Yeah.
whatever it is that's happening, I think music will still have the ability to bring us back, and I think that yeah, as we can, we need to support artists that are out there, we need to support those original artists, and if we're impacted or inspired by their music, like, share it on this, crazy technological outlet we have, but support those original artists because I feel like they might be they might be the real warriors in all this. They might be the
mm.
massive healers of all of our crazy shit happening. That's what I've been thinking. It's gonna be critical for our, as if we can continue, we're gonna need arts and music, so
Yeah, 100%. Like thinking about when you talking about that, I was just thinking about like I don't know, like the power. We're coming up on Christmas season, right? And the power that like some of that music has, like Silent Night,
Mm,
or like just this music that just can like touch you in this soft place, in this vulnerable place. And the
mhm.
world is such a hard place right now. Like literally, yes, it's hard
Oh
to
my
navigate, but like
God.
a hard,
It's hard.
Oh Lord.
hard place,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm,
Like music and different types of music could just soften us up a little bit and really come together as a humanity where we
mhm,
can
Yeah.
all feel that like deeper connection to something greater within
mhm,
that binds us all, right? Like you're talking about at the beginning, what we talked about before, Patrick, like this coming together on this what do we have in common? And the
Hmm.
only thing we really all have in common is that basic humanity, which we're sorely lacking. So I'm going to be listening a little bit harder in the next couple of months over,
me too.
the holiday season for where I can tap into a little bit more grace, a little bit more softness. That Alleluia song, like you're talking about, that hit like
I gotta
Wait till
check that
you
out.
hear
that brings me to tears. That brings me to
well,
tears.
you're
If it's the same version you're talking about,
it's one of
Mm.
the most
yeah,
beautiful things you will ever
yeah,
hear, and if you can, listen to it with headphones on because you will be yeah, like, it will just wrap you up like a blanket, and it's just him
yeah,
and his
and it
electric
moves
guitar.
us. Music just moves us
Mhm.
to tears, right? Like it just sometimes it just comes out, and it's like, where did that come from? It
Mm.
just touches me on such a deep level, and like you're saying, Ginny, that maybe that is the thing. Maybe that is the thing that's going to bring us all
Right,
together.
because it's one of the it's just this it's still something that we have way back to our roots, like our heartbeat, where we don't have to have an opinion about our heartbeat. We're not like, "Well, my heartbeat's better than yours, bitch, because it leans right."
Yeah,
Yeah.
"Well, mine's better than yours because 'cause you're a liberal and you're
Oh,
stupid." Right? Our
right.
heartbeat's our
Yeah.
heartbeat, and music
It
is
is.
to me, it's like it can be,
it's a heartbeat.
yeah, and it's across the board. So it's a way for us to at least as we continue to do this, maybe if we can use it more to literally almost just neutralize us and get us back to like, oh, wait a minute, like, oh, you like that beat? Yeah, that's cool, or like getting back to those things that call to the inner parts of our heart, and not
Hmm.
this outer
Hmm.
shit that we're all hung
Nothing
up
that
in.
matters. None of it friggin'
No,
matters.
No,
It's
it
so
doesn't.
no.
No,
frustrating to me.
no. I,
Mm-mm.
I think my biggest thing with music, with this whole shit, I just want more original artists. Okay, like because remember you had like you had Bing Crosby, you had
Hmm.
Patti LaBelle, you had all these artists that stood out. Like they had their own image, their own sound. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
nowadays, so many artists that I listen to, well, that I heard, I don't even know where they from. I don't know who it is. 'Cause they all sound the same to me.
They
Same
sound the
It's
same.
cadence,
'cause it's all auto tuned or
auto
whatever they call
tune.
that, right? Like,
But
Well,
even what
even the
they're
yeah, it's
cadence.
saying,
so
Yeah,
even what they're
exactly.
talking about, you're like, "Are you wait, what?"
Exactly. Yeah,
It's
it's not that creative. Not saying everybody's like that, but a lot of people that I hear are like that. So I really
yes.
hope
yeah.
that we have more original artists, their own style, sound, whatever the case may be. Just stand out. Just be different. Stop
Yeah.
following the
That
same trend. That's
Mhm.
all. That's the
Exactly, that
biggest
it
thing.
could be their own personal self-expression instead of what the music producer on top or this,
Yes.
A&R guy or this, all those, guys
Mhm.
on top want you to do, right? Like
Right.
Mhm.
my hope for these
What's gonna
artists is
sell?
that they can go in. Yeah, exactly. And they can go in and they can say, "No, no, no, that's not true to me. This is really what I
Mhm.
want to sound like. This is
Right.
really what I have to say. This is the story that I have to tell." I don't want to tell some stupid, nonsensical nonsense about being out partying last night and blah blah blah.
And
Like
the
I
tattoos
want
I
to
got
talk
on my
about
face.
what's going on.
Look at the
Mhm.
tattoos on my face, and I'm all
Right.
tattooed up so you can see me.
Honestly, I'm gonna be
Him.
real though. Like this is one of the reasons why I kind of stopped doing music because of that. Because like when I try to do music for other people, they want me to sound like everybody else. It's like no, I got my own sound. I want to change your sound and do something different. I want to be an artist and be creative because I went to art school. I'm creative. I
Yeah,
like
that's
to
the whole
stand
point.
out. I don't want to be like nobody else. How can you be a
Mhm.
legend if you sound like everybody else? Think about
You
You
that.
never
can't.
nope, you never
They're all selling out. A lot of them, I should say, are
Right.
selling out for the money because
Exactly.
it's too risky.
It is.
Yep.
It's too right selling out for money. It's just too risky to be like, I'm just going to do my own thing and see where that takes me
Mhm.
because
Right.
everybody's in it for the almighty dollar, right?
Right.
Yep.
So it's become less about your creative expression and more about what's going to make money for the man.
When you
It
hear these
is.
stories, that's what a lot of people that are talking when you hear people in the, like, awakening or, like, 5D community or, you hear people talking about these things, they say that one of the they they say that one of the ways, that most of that music that is making the money is all, designed in a way that it's dumbing us down.
Oh
That
yeah,
it's pulling
for
us
sure.
Yes.
in and dumbing
Yeah.
us down intentionally, again,
Yeah.
and not even necessarily dumb, but dumbing down that all the feelings and the senses we have that music brings, it's bringing them down to this numbed out, more of a numbed out, level where we're not thinking, where we're talking about these things that are very small and keeping our mind down
Yeah.
in lower densities.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the music
Yeah.
that sells. That's what makes the most money right now is the
Yeah.
lower
That's probably why I
negative.
never liked pop.
Mm,
I never liked pop music, and
mm,
that's probably why, because it
Maybe.
always feels like the older stuff is just more
Oh
purposeful,
god, yeah.
mhm.
right?
Yeah, but even
Yeah.
the pop music from back then and now we sound,
It was
"Man, our
good.
parents did this shit." It was so good. I'm like,
It was dope.
"Dedication,
Yeah.
bring it."
It was better.
It
It was
was
better.
so
Yeah,
much
well,
better.
back then, yeah, I mean, I listened to it when I was young, but, like, I guess probably when I look at my 20s, I started, like, turning against, like, pop music,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I stuck with the older stuff,
Right.
70s, 80s, 90s.
80s though, even you still had like Tears for Fears and these guys who were on the pop charts, but they were musicians and they were
Everybody
good.
wants to rule the world. I mean, can you say a more truer statement?
Yeah,
I think maybe people are afraid to say the truth. Maybe people are afraid to really be out there and vulnerable aside from
for
just the
sure.
money. Maybe it's a good way for them to hide
Oh yeah.
their real truth.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
especially
sad.
because we display it all. That's the other part, right? Music is also in a different way because of the fact that we have screens now, or we, even thinking about like MTV when it was like MTV and there were music videos, it suddenly came like
Exactly.
these songs have movies now. Like this is like a mini movie I can see on this song.
Yeah,
And
it
for
was
that to
cool.
develop, and then boom, that's not even like existent anymore. Like,
No.
do you guys see music
No.
videos
There's
ever
some there's some videos I
On
saw
YouTube.
recently. I don't know where,
on
but
YouTube?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even know about TV. I only have Netflix. I don't even have
Me
But
either.
like
I
I don't
wonder,
have
like,
cable.
do kids look at, but how it used to be a thing for us. Like they used to be like, yes, I'm gonna watch TRL or I'm
yes.
gonna watch like the video itself. Like I wonder if the visual part has like gone away because it's not even interesting anymore compared to your freaking internet and your shit that you can be scrolling through all day.
Everything else.
Like
It's
it might not
still
even be.
there.
Yeah.
It just not, it's not that creative. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
Ah,
Like it's
okay.
not super creative. Like because the videos back then they had a story to it.
Oh yeah.
A love
Whole
story,
thing.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They had the visualization was just different, and it's like now
Mhm.
everybody do pretty much the same thing, and they record on their phone. They do it through their iPhone or whatever, which is a pretty good quality, good phone by the way. But yeah, it's
Yeah, it is.
good camera.
You're like,
But
that's enough,
I was
but
just I was just thinking about it must have been like 91 or 93 when November Rain, Guns N'
oh
Roses
my god,
was
that
number 1.
video.
Great group. Yeah,
No, it was number 1 on the MTV countdown for like weeks. And we used to have a house in the Poconos growing up, my family and another family, and that's where we would go and take our vacations. And I remember me and my friend Chrissy, we would run home wherever we were, we'd be out exploring. They had like these
Yeah.
waterfalls and like just
Oh,
the in the forest or
so
whatever. We would
cool.
just be out like, and we'd know, okay, at 5 o'clock, at 4:57, they're going to play the number one. We got to run home and see it. And I remember running up into the loft space and sitting in front of the TV and watching November Rain. I mean, every time that song comes on the radio, I listen to the entire
Well,
thing. I
dang.
will sit in my car
You had a
until
memory.
it's
Yeah.
over before I
Mhm.
come in my house, right?
Mhm.
Like
That's a
it's just
super
so
intense.
powerful.
That one evokes so much emotion. And it did, like, from the second you heard it, even the first time to right now, like, every time I hear it, same thing where I'm like,
Same thing.
I can go back,
Exactly.
stop
Like we were
wearing this
talking
coat.
about
Yep.
before. Yeah, it's just not the same. It's just not the
Nah,
same. And,
nah.
people say, well, it's every generation changes
Mhm.
and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I tend to think that things are, like you said, dumbed down. Things are just
Mhm.
a little bit
Oh my
less
God. Yeah.
full of substance. There's like less substance
Mhm.
to,
Mhm.
uh,
Like,
especially in the music world, the things coming out today.
it's like
Yeah.
eating processed food.
I agree.
We're ingesting processed music. It's, like, not
Yeah.
organic.
Yes.
For real.
Microwave
Yeah. Yeah.
microwave food, if you
For
ask me,
real.
microwave
Like
yes.
Chef Boyardee music.
Yes.
Or yeah,
Yes, indeed.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to sound like one of the
completely
old
different.
people, but it's like, man, it's like it just doesn't
I
grab me
know.
like that. It doesn't.
No. And I do remember though, and I remember like, you hear your parents or your grandparents say those things when they would talk about our
Yes.
music. But then when I got
That's
old
not
enough
real
to
music.
listen, right?
Uh-huh.
But then when I got to listen to their music though, like Sinatra
Yes.
or any of those guys, like during
Mm,
that time, the vocals like
mhm,
you're talking
mhm.
about, like Etta James and people where Tina Turner, the Pointer Sisters, like whoever, where you're listening to like
Yes.
the vocal and you're like, damn, this is good music. Like this is really
That
good.
Yep.
I'm not gonna tell
that's
my
what I'm
dad, but
saying,
it's
Got to
like,
really
keep it
good.
alive.
I don't see an
Yes.
artist today that remind me of a like Donna Summers or Sheryl Crow. I don't see any of that. Prince. I don't see a artist today that will even be on that level in the future. I don't see that
And
at all.
you know what? It's like people
Not even
talk
close.
about, right? Yeah, like people talk about like Taylor Swift, and she's got a generous heart, and man, like what she creates is huge. But
That's
I'll probably
cool.
get like hunted down for this. But I've never been like, oh, I'm so moved. I'm like, oh, she sings every song, the same song all the time, except now
Uh,
she's a different age, you know.
right.
But I'm like, oh, 21 is the album, or what are you? Like, I don't know, oh, 13,
Yeah.
you're 17 now. It's the same story. The guy breakup. Oh, not to knock it because it's great the way she does it. But is there
Mhm.
some other like if you think about, are there single female acoustic or even male artists? I guess you got Ed Sheeran. People are kind
Yeah.
of
He's talented.
Ed Sheeran does it, but females? Um, speaking as can you hear Sandy singing in the background?
I
Yes,
do.
That's my
I do.
kid
Sandy,
singing.
our little
Sing it.
singer.
Yeah,
Oh,
sing it. There you go.
oh my goodness, she's good after. But it's true.
She's
It's
amazing.
we need it when we see those people and when we spot them on YouTube, and maybe that's part of our job too, right? We find some badass artists, like be like, oh my god, I found this kid out of Canada. He's playing his guitar in his room. It's
Yeah.
badass. Check out his stuff because there's
Yeah,
Yeah.
people
there are
putting it
so
out.
many amazing musicians out there and talented people that just do not fall into that track, maybe because they're not moldable. Like my drum teacher, he's amazing. And
Mhm.
he's just, and he, during a lesson, he'll just like get on my kit and he'll like show me what's possible with like the beat he just taught me. And I'm like, what? Like, how did you just do that? And like so friggin' fast. Like he's amazing. And I was like, why didn't you ever try to like make it and be
Mhm.
like famous? And he's like, it's just not, I don't want to go down that road,
Too much
and I
control.
respect people.
Big time.
Yeah. Respect people like that
Mhm.
like are not willing to sell
To
their soul.
perform.
Right. And to,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, to perform. Exactly.
What
That's
what
the word.
And conform, right?
no, conform. Yes.
Conform.
Yes.
Yeah.
Conform.
Yes, exactly.
You hear
I
yeah.
think also too, I was gonna say one more thing. I think also artist development, we need that big time. Because
Yes.
Motown had that. They had it. They taught them how to speak, how to conduct themselves when it come to interviews and how to promote
That's
their
a
music.
great point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great
Totally.
point.
It's lacking these days.
Mhm.
It is. It is. They have to teach kids in school how to write emails without using the letter U for the word you
Oh
or
Lord
to
have
the number
mercy.
2 for
Really?
TWO.
Are you
Like,
serious?
yeah, like
They don't learn
yeah,
cursive.
they have
They don't learn
they
cursive,
have
Patrick. Did you know that?
my kids do.
I heard about that.
Oh, yeah,
Aspen
that's
View.
right.
Yeah, I heard about
Aspen
that.
View teaches in that. But yeah, but a lot of that stuff, Jenny, totally. That's the same thread here
Yeah.
is that
Man.
they just don't know. They just don't know how to like conduct themselves out in the
Mm-mm.
world. And I guess if they did, like you're saying, Patrick, and they knew how to like get themselves out there and talk to people in a way that can sell themselves, but still be authentic
Yeah,
and
for
let
sure.
the people know, like, this is who I am, but I'm worth your time, but I
Right.
might not conform.
Absolutely.
You know, I wonder. That's a good point.
Because we need
Well, who
it.
knows?
Those are the people we need. That's the stuff we need to hear. So
Mhm.
maybe, and we, Amanda, like when we talk about challenges, even like we leave here, like the three of us should go find someone we've never heard and share it with each other. Be like, listen to this kid out of,
Yeah.
I don't know, Pakistan. I don't
There's
know.
this dude. I'm gonna find him right now
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
He is a drummer. I think
Okay.
Esteban, maybe is his name.
Tom might have sent me
Um,
some of his stuff. Does he mess around and do like he'll be drinking
Is this the drummer?
coffee and then he does
This is him. Eleste Elestepario Siberiano. I don't know.
I can't pronounce. I don't know how to spell
where
that.
he's from.
Is he the
I
guy
have
that
no
like,
idea.
does he drink coffee and stuff while he's drumming? Amanda, does he do
I don't know.
crazy
I've
stuff?
never seen him drink coffee, but he is absolutely incredible. Just
Okay.
search ELEST.
Okay.
I think he's
what?
smoking a cigarette. I think he's smoking a cigarette right now. He's smoking a.
Okay, that's what I'm. It might be the same guy. He's hilarious.
He's
EL.
drumming with one arm
Yes,
right now.
that's the guy. I've seen him. Tom just showed him
Smoking
to
a
me.
butt.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's
he's got like
insane.
3.2 million followers.
Yes.
Like this guy could be, below probably any drummer behind any band that you know out of the water.
Did you-
But here he is, just he's sitting in his space with his
Yes.
drum kit, doing what he wants to do.
ELE or ELA?
ELESTEP. El Estepario
Oh, geez, there he is. Jorge
Siberiano.
Siberiano. Jarido.
I
El
butchered that one.
Estepario
Oh
Siberiano.
yeah, this is the guy. I've seen him.
See him?
How bananas is that? I've seen him. He came up on my husband's feed not that long ago.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's
He's huge.
crazy.
Amazing. So everybody listening out there, go listen to
Yes,
El
give him a
Estepario Siberiano.
Right? He's already getting some
Nice.
great. Yeah.
Give him,
Yes.
he's amazing.
Let's do that though, you guys.
So,
Let's go
yeah.
find some unknowns. We should and share them with each other.
Might as well,
Like,
right?
finding,
I will.
yeah, like let's go
I will.
dig for somebody. Be like, hey, I found
Yeah.
this kid out of Holland. Go
Let's
find
go
some
on
cool shit.
on a treasure hunt. That's right.
Let's go on a treasure hunt, right?
Right.
It's like we're but if we can find some cool new, we all need it right now more than ever.
All right, guys, let's wrap this
it.
let's wrap this awesome session up. This was so cool.
So cool.
Patrick, thank you so much for being with
Absolutely.
us.
You're very
Yes,
welcome. And can
working-
I want to
yeah.
say thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. It's been really
Aw.
fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always good times hanging.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I appreciate you ladies so much for coming up here as well. And yeah, it's all in full circle now. So yep.
That's what we're here to do.
appreciate
it.
We're all doing
Yeah.
this thing
Wrapping it up.
together.
Full circle.
Absolutely.
We rise together.
That's
yes,
right.
indeed.
All right, everybody. So if you like the show, we hope you like the first video, YouTube video episode.
Yes,
Subscribe, share it with your friends, leave us a comment.
absolutely.
If you have a topic or something you'd like us to talk about, Jeannie and I are going to be doing every other show, just her and I, and then we're going to have a guest. So we're going to have a guest once a month, and then we're going to have her and I once a month. So we are, totally open to topics. If you'd like to be a guest, email us, soulrisingpodcast@gmail.com. Again, soul, obviously, SOL. If you're watching this, I'm sure you see it's SOL Rising Podcast@gmail.com. You could find me on Instagram. You could find Ginny's awesome furniture biz
Oh,
on
yeah.
Instagram as well, which she is still doing.
Still doing
Yes.
So
The-
check her out.
Flippin' Phoenix.
The Flippin' Phoenix.
Yes,
She's
and
killing it.
what a
Yeah.
working it out. What about? And how about?
Yeah.
Did we already talk about where we can find you, Patrick? Also,
Oh,
Patrick's on Instagram.
P Thriller is PTHRILLA. Just search it. You'll see me with a hat to the back, smiling.
yes.
That's me.
Yes.
You'll see my
yes.
fitness stuff, my
Yes.
podcast stuff. That is me, baby. Yep, that's it.
We love it.
Yes. I'll put that in the show notes as well, and I'll put a link to your Spotify, your podcast on Spotify.
Sounds
This is great having you,
so
Patrick.
much. Yeah, this
Thank
is huge,
you.
and
I
this is like
appreciate it.
a step in our growth and evolution. So thank you for being here to take this first step with the first interview with us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Thanks.
it as well. All right, you ladies have
Thanks,
a good
Patrick.
day. Okay.
Have a good one.
All right, you
Okay,
too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Oh.
Bye-bye. Oh, what happened? What was that? Oh my gosh. Recording, Patrick. Warning. I have a warning in the bottom of my screen. Warning.
It's
Oh my gosh. Hope you're all right over there, Patrick. I'll have to text him, check in. Down. Patrick, down. Jeez. What is that?
I don't.
He's still on, though.
Is he?
Hope he's all right.
Patrick.
Hope he didn't fall off his chair and hurt himself. Patrick, can you hear us?
He's having like, oh.
I'll text him. All right, Ginny. Let's wrap it up, girlfriend.
Cool.